My name again is Bruce Rankin. I'm here at the American Association of Community Colleges, and we're pleased to be able to host today's Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium webinar. I'll cover a few housekeeping notes here first before I turn it over to Kathy Manis to introduce our guests and presenter. Quickly, all phones from the participants, and up until a few minutes ago, our phone was muted. So if you have any questions, please enter those in the lower right-hand corner in the chat box. We'll be monitoring those throughout. We understand some folks are dialing in, so we do have an email address. Obviously, can't put this on the screen for you, so I'll read it off quickly. That's Andrea Dono, and the address is abono@aacc.nche.edu. And for everybody that's here, we will be recording this session, and for those folks that were unable to sit in today, we will make this available after the session. So without further ado, let me just advance to the agenda here. And I'd like to go ahead and introduce my boss, Kathy Manis, Senior Vice President here for Workforce and Economic Development. Kathy?
Good afternoon, everybody. We are really excited to have you on the line. We appreciate your interest in this. American Association of Community Colleges, we hope that many of you are members, and we pride ourselves on the fact that we represent the nation's community colleges. As you know, that means that there's a wide range of colleges that we represent. Some are very large and some are very small. So we are particularly happy that we have this opportunity to reach out to some of the rural colleges, the colleges in the Appalachian area that might not always be the ones that are front and center. Certainly you're not as large as Miami-Dade with 180,000 students, but we consider you to be very important to the communities that you serve. I'm here mostly to recognize the partnership that we have and the support that we have from the Appalachian Regional Commission. We have had support from them for several years in helping to bring information and to share information with the colleges in the Appalachian region. And so this is really a part of that sequence. The idea behind this webinar and this new initiative is really to help position the colleges in the Appalachian area to compete and to expand their capacity as part of what Laura's going to explain, the new apprenticeship initiatives and the anticipated new ways in which community colleges can become more involved in making apprenticeship a part of their offerings and a part of their communities. So I'm really here to welcome you, to introduce you to this initiative, and then to hope that you will stay with us as we develop this further. I want to say that we're very happy to have with us here today Jeff Schwartz, who is the Education Program Manager at the Appalachian Regional Commission, and just want to give him a minute to welcome you from his standpoint and again to thank him on our behalf.
Thank you, Kathy. The Appalachian Regional Commission is very happy to partner with AACC. We want to encourage all of our colleges to apply, and we're hoping that through this process to be more competitive in this competition for apprenticeship grants. Apprenticeships are becoming more important in the region as the shift to advanced manufacturing changes, and along with other changes in the employer base, we need to do something we need to evolve the training process. Thank you.
So it's now our pleasure to introduce another great partner and great supporter of community colleges, Laura Ginsberg, who comes out of the U.S. Department of Labor. She is standing by to give you an overview of what has been coming out of their office. So, Laura, hopefully you can hear me and you can take over now.
Okay, thanks so much, Kathy, for that introduction. It's just a pleasure to be with you all and to be able to share some information about the Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium and a little bit about registered apprenticeship in general. Can you advance the slide, please?
Laura, I'm going to interrupt 1 second. I'm sorry. Some of the sites have asked that we repeat the email address where they can access the slides. So I just want to give that to them again. It's A-D as in David, O-N-O at AACC.nche.edu. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So what I'd like to talk a little bit about first before we get into the RACC is a lot of the buzz that's going around registered apprenticeship right now. We've been in the news a lot this past year. We have been elevated as one of the premier training programs that the federal government administers. We were mentioned in the President's State of the Union address earlier this year where he really wants to see more apprenticeships. And I think this is really linked to economic advancement. I think we've seen in many of the other countries, in Germany and Switzerland and even in the UK, where they have very low youth unemployment and overall unemployment rates, and they also have very strong apprenticeship systems. We saw during the recession that those countries that didn't have strong apprenticeship systems really had a much tougher time than those nations that do have apprenticeship. So I think our leadership, and it's both on the Democratic and the Republican side, are looking at registered apprenticeship and seeing that it has great value in helping young people, but really all individuals, it's adult learners as well, get ahead because it really links education to employment. And this slide here, we've got support from our Secretary of Labor, from Joe Biden, but I will say that we also have support from many of the Republican governors. This is embraced in South Carolina, in Michigan, in Alabama, in Tennessee, and many of the others. So it truly is bipartisan. Move the slide forward, please. So I guess I kind of reversed my slides. It really is global, so we're seeing expansion in many of the industrialized countries, as I mentioned, that had not fared so well during the recession, and now they're really beginning to embrace apprenticeship. Next slide. So what we're doing here in the United States is we want to really grow apprenticeship, and we have a goal of doubling the number of apprentices in the next 5 years. So when we started this, we had 375,000 apprentices. So we want to try and bring in 750,000 by 2017. Right now, we just finished our fiscal year. We're at about 410,000 apprentices. So we've already started to grow. And this is in conjunction with the job-driven strategy to train skilled workers and meet employers' needs. It's an integral part of industry sector strategies. It's a career pathway for workers. And then also under our Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act, that's the act that really governs our whole workforce system. There are a lot of connections to registered apprenticeship in two significant ways that I'll mention. And one is that registered apprenticeship programs are automatically on the eligible training provider list, which will help give sponsors access to funding from the one-stops. And in the second significant way, they are to be members of every single state and local workforce investment board. Next slide. So part of this growth is we want to really expand apprenticeship in a lot of different areas. I'm sure when you think of apprenticeship, you're thinking of primarily construction, maybe a little manufacturing, but we truly want to expand it into all industries that are growing right now. And we've seen interest in healthcare and information technology, energy, transportation and logistics, hospitality. There really is tremendous interest in those areas where they need skilled workers. So later this month, we are going to have a grant competition. It will be for $100 million, and primarily that money will be used to increase the number of apprentices. It's not for capacity building. It's not for some of those other things that maybe some other government grants are for. It really is to increase those numbers of apprentices. Next slide. So now I want to talk a little bit about the consortium and how it is related to all of this and apprenticeship. I think as part of that growth in apprenticeships, we really look to the post-secondary education community. We have so many good partnerships with those colleges right now that are working already with registered apprenticeship programs, but there are many, many more that don't work with registered apprenticeship. And this is an opportunity to kind of get started before you have any sort of programs where you may be providing that instruction for the registered apprenticeship program. So next slide. So before I kind of talk to this slide, I just want to give you kind of a very brief overview of what apprenticeship is if you're not familiar with it. Registered apprenticeship, when I say registered, it means that it has to be registered with the U.S. Department of Labor or a state apprenticeship agency. We're a dual system where half of the states are run by federal staff and the other half are administered by the governor, who will set up an apprenticeship office in the state. So it has to be, the program must be registered with either the federal agency or the state apprenticeship agency. And what is an apprenticeship? It is first and foremost a job, but it's a job with learning. So you have the on-the-job learning component, and this could take place maybe 3 or 4 days a week. And then another portion is with school, and they will go to a community college, they will go to a training center, they may do online learning, but education and employment is integrally connected as far as that training that employee. And we have found that by connecting education and employment, that individuals are actually able to become productive in a much faster way. Additionally, apprentices will get wage increases. They will start out at a below the normal wage for that particular occupation. It could be maybe 60% of a salary. And as they go through that apprenticeship, they will get incremental wage increases as they become more proficient in that particular occupation. And then upon completion of their apprenticeship, when they're fully professional and productive in that occupation, then they will get the full salary. In addition to all of this, they have a mentor on the job. So they're not just getting that classroom instruction and that teacher-student relationship, but on the job they have to have a mentor that really guides them and teaches them how to do that particular job. So this brings me back to the RACC and how we got started. And basically we have thousands of registered apprenticeship programs across the country. There are about 29,000 of them, and this represents about 250,000 employers that are working with an apprenticeship program, because you can have multiple employers that will work with one single program or one single college. I'm sure you have many employer consortia as well, so can kind of understand that concept. So many of our sponsors have top-of-the-notch, state-of-the-art training facilities across the country, and they're very proud of what they do. They have top-of-the-line instructors, and they have gone to organizations such as the American Council on Education, ACE, or the National College Credit Recommendation Service, which is out of the New York State Board of Regents, and they will go and have their programs evaluated for college credit. And as you probably know, these evaluations cost an arm and a leg. They can be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to have the evaluations done. And the evaluators will come back after they've looked at the program, and they will say, okay, your program is worth 35 credits, or it's worth 40 credits. So our sponsors have taken these recommendations from ACE and NCCRS and then shopped them around individually to colleges. And what they find is that some colleges will accept the full articulation or the full recommendation. Other colleges will say, no, sorry, we can only take 10 credits, or we'll only take 15, or whatever. So the programs were very frustrated with this, and they came to the Department of Labor and the Department of Education, and they said, please, please do something so we can scale this up so that when we have these evaluations, they will be recognized by all of the colleges, and really our apprenticeship graduates will then be able to go to multiple colleges in the United States and be able to apply their registered apprenticeship experience towards college credit. So the first thing we did was we went to AACC and Kathy's predecessor, who helped us put together a group of community colleges, and we put together a group of registered apprenticeship programs. And we worked on this issue for about 3 years. And we went to the accrediting organizations. We made a lot of presentations at the WDI and the other organizations within AACC. We went to other colleges and other groups to talk about what we had done to see if we were on the right track. And basically what we did was we developed, and we can go to the next slide. Actually, the following slide. And the next slide. Okay, so what we did was we developed a consortium which is based on the Service Members Opportunities Colleges Consortium. If any of you are members or are familiar with this consortium, this is a consortium of colleges that helps facilitate military experience by vets towards college credit. Using the same system, they have ACE evaluate the military experience and what that might be valued at as far as college credit. The SOC is made up of about 1,900 colleges which accept military experience that's been evaluated by ACE and then apply it towards college credit. So that is what we are doing in essence with the RACC. The college members agree to roughly accept the number of college credits that these third-party evaluators have recommended for the registered apprenticeship sponsor members. So with that, we had a couple goals. We certainly wanted to provide a better connectivity between registered apprenticeship and community colleges and four-year colleges. We wanted to create better partnerships with those. We also wanted to increase graduation rates, because another goal of the administration is to double the number of college graduates, I believe, by 2020. So really by working with these two groups, the colleges and the registered apprenticeship programs, colleges are going to have a pool of highly motivated individuals who have finished a registered apprenticeship program. They've gone through the structure, they've gone through the rigor, they have the discipline to really go through and finish an associate's degree or a four-year degree. So we also saw that this really helped with portability, accessibility, and sustainability. So that means that an apprentice graduate in, say, Tennessee would be able to go to a college in Washington State or in Wisconsin or Massachusetts if they're members. So this really helped in portability and individuals being able to skill up. So, and that's what we want to do. We want to really skill up on a national basis. So next slide. So I think there are many, many win-wins here. We have a win-win-win-win. So I think the benefit to apprentices is they're able to earn credits towards an associate's and or bachelor's degree. It kind of gives them a leg up, and it will really kind of motivate them to finish their degree if they know that they have credits that they can already apply to it. For educational institutions, I think it provides that closer relationship with industry partners because all of our registered apprenticeship programs are employer-based. It provides that articulation between apprenticeship and college programs that really ensures the relevance and rigor and really gives our apprenticeship programs stature, knowing that their programs are on the level of post-secondary and they can be correlated to college credit. For businesses and unions, it increases the credibility and helps enrollment efforts. It helps them expand apprenticeship, and really kind of the next step with those businesses and unions are from articulating what they've already got to the college credit and working with the colleges is where the colleges will be providing that instruction to the registered apprenticeship programs. It's not going to be these training centers. And to be quite frank, that is kind of the wave of the future. I would say a third to a half of our registered apprenticeship programs now are partnering primarily with community colleges to provide that instruction. And sometimes it's online learning, it can be remote, it can be classroom, it's in a number of different forms. And then finally on the state and federal government level, these are rigorous programs that give individuals that upward mobility, and it really fuels the economic development. And then again, that strong connection between industry, higher ed, and I would also say workforce. Next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Next one. So now I'll do the overview of the consortium model.
Laura, we have one
yes?
question. Let's barge in with that.
Yeah. And
sorry?
I'll go ahead and read it to you. It's a question from the audience. Do apprenticeships have to be tied to unions?
No. And the majority of them are not.
Great. Okay, that was it for now. It just popped up. Sorry about the slides, moving that around. Back to you, Laura.
Okay, great. And actually, I've covered this slide, so if we could go to the next one. So I wanted to go over some initial conditions for RACC membership. So for post-secondary institutions, we require that they be in the Department of Education database of accredited programs. They must grant degrees. They must accept prior learning assessment and transfer credits. and they need to provide program information to the RACC. So that is basically, who are your points of contact? Do you have any relationships with apprenticeship programs? If you don't have to, but it's just basic information, because what we plan to do is, with our website, is have a big map and just be able to populate it, and we want to make sure to have everybody's information, so when apprentice grads are looking for those colleges that are members and they may take their program, then we want to be able to have that program information on there that we can share. So for apprenticeship sponsors, they've got to have a program with standards registered with the DOL or the State Apprenticeship Agency, as I had said before, and they have to submit to that program review to assess their quality, rigor, and then determine credit value. That's really important. And then again, provide that program information to us. So we're really trying to provide checks and balances and make sure that there's a high level of quality on both sides as far as the colleges are concerned and as far as our registered apprenticeship programs are concerned. So next slide, please. Here I would normally give you a tour of our RACC website, but it's a little bit hard today because I'm not in control of the slides, but I do want to point out the URL up there. And this is our website, and this is the landing page that you will come to. So if you want to find out more information, if you want to apply, this is the way to do it. We accept online application forms, and they're really pretty easy to fill out. So on this form we have, I hope you can see it, it says FAQs, frequently asked questions. So you click on that, and there are a number of questions and answers that are provided. We have the framework, and that really is our bylaws that go through, our goals, our criteria for membership, what are we trying to accomplish. And then we also developed standards of good practice, and this is kind of a supplement to our framework that really explains the third-party accreditation process, and then goes through that the whole issue of the credits for colleges. We do want to provide flexibility to colleges. We understand that you might not offer every course, but on the other hand, being in the RACC means that you're going to abide by the framework, and you are basically going to accept the same number of credits that have been recommended.
So Laura, I'm going to interrupt you, this is Kathy, one more time, and say that what you've been discussing so far has been membership and application to be part of the RACC for the consortium. And I just want to separate that out from what we'll be leading into, which is application for the funding.
Okay.
However, that said, having spoken with a lot of community colleges, and I don't know how many of you on the line may actually be already registered as members of the consortium. It's certainly something that we encourage here at AACC. We think this is an opportunity to promote the larger agenda of community colleges in terms of access and completion, and also aligning with the new requirements as you put out with the WIOA legislation and increased focus on aligning with industry as partners. So I think it's really important to make the differentiation to let people know that so far, because we're going to be talking about a number of different applications and forms that you can fill out today. What's up on the slide today is how to become a member of the consortium, and which we strongly encourage, but which would be, in my mind, a first step to then becoming more involved in the overall initiative. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you, Kathy. So I'm almost done with this slide. So I just want to point out that we have three applications. One is for educators, so that would be the post-secondary educational institutions, 2- and 4-year. So you just click on the application download, and there's the application. We do require that you get sign-off from the president of your college. We're very serious about this. We want to make sure that the entire college is on board with it. The second one is for sponsors. This is for the registered apprenticeship programs. And then the other representing organizations, for example, AACC is a member under this category. But if all of you are colleges, then you would definitely click on the educator application. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. So next slide. This is the, I just wanted to give you a flavor of who is a member of the RACC right now, and I am very pleased to say that since I sent Bruce this slide, we have 4 more institutions that have joined. I think we have Excelsior, a college in Virginia, and I think there are 2 more in Massachusetts that have joined. I can't think of the names off the top of my head. So next slide, please. So our current status, and this is on the RACC, again, not the solicitation. So we continue to expand the RACC nationally. We're planning for sustainability. It will continue to be housed in DOL. We do have joint management by the Departments of Education and Labor, and we are continuing to receive feedback and guidance from our Federal Advisory Committee and this ad hoc work group that we've had for the last 3 years. By December 31st, we need to recruit 100 colleges. So I would love it if you all would just sign up right away. It would please me to no end, because as you see, I've got 45 colleges and I need to have 100 in less than 2 months. So, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. We really urge you to join. On top of this, as I said, we're creating an online clearinghouse and some other e-tools. We hope to have them ready sometime this fall. It might be late fall, but that's part of the map that I was talking about. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation on the RACC. There's my contact information. As I said before, please feel free to contact me. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. So let me turn it over to Kathy.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Bruce here with Kathy. The next phase here is, I think, what a lot of the folks are interested in. But before I go there, I noticed we had 64. We're down to 63. But the person that left probably is filling out the application as we speak. That clearly the math would get you over the top, Laura.
We're hoping.
That's right. That's right. And I don't think that'll be an evaluation criteria for our assessment here for the small grant that I'm just going to give you a little update on, but who knows? We need to figure that out. I am going to be purposely vague. This is about the technical assistance that we'll be offering to the Appalachian Region colleges that's associated with the apprenticeship grant. We were very fortunate to receive a grant from ARC to provide essentially some virtual grant writing support and, more importantly, financial support in the form of a $5,000 stipend that will go out to 10 colleges that will be competing for this. And that'll be to hire a grant writer or reallocate resources within your colleges to produce the grant. Very quickly, the plan is, and I'm being purposely vague because we have not seen the RFP, and no matter how many times we've asked the folks, everybody's following their procurement rules very strictly. So once the SGA, Solicitation for Grant Application, is released, we'll review it here. Very shortly thereafter, we'll issue to this group a RFP looking for a very brief summary, and from that, something on the order of 2 pages. We'll select 10 colleges or a consortium of colleges. Each each member or individual college that's identified to receive the grant will get the $5,000 stipend. And associated with that, we plan on conducting 2 webinars that will discuss grant writing strategies and the specifics of this particular application, and share our insight and try to answer any questions you folks might have to be as competitive as possible in pursuing these grants. And again, the timing is very quick. We don't know when the SGA will be released, but we know it's soon. And again, once that's out, we'll probably have some follow-up communications and the RFP. As far as the resources, I do think Laura pointed out in one of her earlier slides, grants.gov. There actually is a feature on that you can sign up, register, and track specific areas. You could just select the Department of Labor, and any grants that come up will pop up on your screen. And of course, as soon as we see it, we'll be probably following up with some communication associated with the support. So, next steps, we'll have that outreach that goes out following the release of the SGA, very quick review process, the award of the grants, and then the technical assistance webinars and ongoing support. So at this point, I'm going to hand. Oh, yes, that's right. I had it here and I missed it. But the Department of Labor is actually sponsoring a 2-part webinar series that's called Partnerships That Deliver Results, the Workforce System and Registered Apprenticeship. And that's going to be offered through Workforce 3.1. I think that there's still seats available. I know some folks had signed up the other day, but that's Workforce 3, as in the number 3, 1, spelled out, .org. And through that, if you look at the webinars, you'll see tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, and I believe 2 weeks later, there'll be a second part. And that'll provide very valuable insight for any of the colleges that are interested in pursuing this grant. So I'm going to hand it back to Kathy here.
Just a couple more thoughts. Some of you that are listening in may have received TAC grants in the past, and we think that this will be an excellent opportunity to build on any kinds of partnerships or work that you've done through TAC. And secondly, I think as part of our technical assistance, we would work to identify and engage industry partners that we have worked with in a number of different capacities and try to help you get in contact with them. I'm wondering, Laura, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any, I know the question was asked earlier about going beyond traditional view of apprenticeship, not necessarily having to link with the unions, thinking beyond the trades. All right, can you give us any guidance in terms of which industry sectors? Because I know you have held some technical assistance and roundtables with industries. So can you give us any clues on what industries might be interesting?
Well, the purpose is to increase the number of apprentices, so we are looking at expansion in all industries, and I would say high growth, high demand. You know, whatever is in your particular area, it's going to be different in all the regions of the country. Energy, transportation and logistics, healthcare, IT, health information technology. We really do want to expand it beyond our traditional industries that we work with. And of course, advanced manufacturing. I think that's huge right now. And you'll learn a little bit more tomorrow when you hear the webinar. I actually just sent the link to Kathy and Bruce, and I'm hoping they'll be able to get it out to all of the listeners to this webinar.
Great. We have a number of questions, so let me field the first one, and then I'll turn it back over to Bruce. There was a question about whether you need to be a member of AACC to apply. And traditionally, yes. When we do subgrant awards to colleges, we look for our members to apply So that's my gut reaction on that. And I would say if you've got a particular need and you're not a member for a reason, please contact me and let's talk about that, because we would love to see you engaged in some way. And as Bruce said, one of the opportunities here is to be part of a consortium. So it might not be that you would be the lead institution, but you'd be involved. However, the main criteria is that you either be located in and or serving the Appalachian region, and that's going to be our strongest criteria.
Great. And Laura, I hope you're still on. I'm going to go ahead and read through some of the questions that have come up, and I'm going to read them in the order that we received them. So I think this goes back to your RACC presentation. And the question is, will this program pertain to pre-apprenticeship programs taught at community colleges?
When they say program, they mean the RACC?
I believe so, and I'm once or twice removed from the questions. So,
sure. I mean, a program, a registered apprenticeship program, has to go through that third-party evaluation. So if a pre-apprenticeship, I don't think we have any that have gone through an evaluation. I would imagine they would only be worth maybe 3 to 6 credits. It wouldn't be very much. But yeah, I think that would be conceivable, but we don't have any pre-apprenticeship programs that have joined the RACC. This is truly for registered apprenticeship programs. If you're talking about the solicitation, I think you probably need to listen into the webinar tomorrow and see how that might work. The pre-apprenticeships can certainly be feeder programs into apprenticeship and then into post-secondary as well.
Thanks, Laura. I'm just going to go chip through some of these are questions I can field on this end. There are folks that asked the question about the webinar site, and Laura, thank you for sending us the link. But for those of you that do want to look it up, it's workforce, one word, the number 3, 1, ONE.org. And if you go to the webinar section, this is the Department of Labor's primary information repository for products and resources. If you look under webinars or search under apprenticeship, it should pop up. But based on Laura's suggestion, we'll go ahead and send that out to everybody that was invited to today's program. The next question had to do with where should we look for the RFP, and again, my understanding is that this will be coming from, yes, this will be coming from AACC to the group that was invited to today's session, and we'll probably provide some advance notice, just an update on the schedule and what to expect, and we'll send that out.
And it'll be on his website.
And Jeff said that it would also be on the ARC website. Okay, and I think that covers the next question about where that would be posted. Again, there'll be communication from AACC as well as the ARC website. And let's see, there's a question about more concrete steps in terms of building a registered apprenticeship program in Georgia, sources and ideas, and at the risk, Laura, of putting you on the spot, I'm going to go ahead and pop back up to your contact information, and I'm assuming that if folks have more specific questions about RACC and just registered apprenticeship in general, that you could field those. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely, yep.
Perfect. I know you guys are in the business of promoting this, and I would think that any of those questions come with an automatic, and yes, I will apply for RACC. And then here's another question, lineman apprenticeship program and machining that transitioned to a full-blown apprenticeship program. This is follows up on your answer to his previous question. So I guess those are the specific examples there. Yeah, if you could. So,
Laura, do you have a sense? I think the question, and it's a great question in terms of how you would take an existing apprenticeship or pieces of apprenticeship program and get it fully qualified under the RACC guidelines.
Oh, I see. Okay, so If it's a registered apprenticeship program, if the instruction comes from the college, they would not have to go through that evaluation. These evaluations basically come from training centers, and the majority of them are union, but there are also many that are not union. So it's either through an association or a consortium that they have to go through that evaluation. They'll pool their resources and pay for that evaluation. I hope that makes sense.
I think it does. And just thanks, Laura. I think that answered the mail. I know we're switching back and forth here with the microphone. I don't have any other questions here. And okay, wait. One popped up. Will we need to include our local USDOL Office of Apprenticeship rep in our grant submission? And I'm thinking if they're referring to ours, I don't believe so. But for Laura, for you on RACC.
No, you don't have to refer to them in your application, but you will be working with them, certainly, if you get funded.
And you know, that's a great question too, because hello, this is Kathy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. One of the opportunities that we have, I think, would be to try to reach out to the DOL representatives in the Appalachian region and try to get them on board with this initiative and try to channel that support. So thank you for that suggestion. There's another question here about selection criteria for the 10. And again, I think we're going to be looking for some diversity. We're going to be working with ARC to see how we can have impact in the region, but it's also really a question of need. And what we've heard from the beginning of this idea is that we really don't want you to be able to say, oh, I can't apply for this because I don't have the resources to do that. So that's a way of avoiding the question. We're going to fund as many as we can, and we're going to, the other thing that we may do is suggest that some combinations, some consortia, some way to leverage this and leverage the effort either from a regional basis geographically or industry basis, or looking at a common topic or approach, because the whole theory behind this, I think a lot of it is trying to make apprenticeship more transferable and make the credits more portable. So I know I haven't answered that directly, but we're hoping that we get some clear outstanding proposals and real clear statements that if I had this, I can do that. That's how I would think you would structure your letter.
Okay, I don't see any more up. Just once again, just when I thought it was safe. We have a question, Laura. Let's see. I didn't understand Laura's point about parts of an RA program approval from RACC. Can you split up a 4-year program?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Hello?
Oops.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is probably need when we're going to get this granular to ask that question to Laura specifically, because in my experience there may be several ways in which you can look at what your existing programs are and make sure that they're aligned with the current criteria. So that's what I would suggest. I hate to defer the question, but rather than to get too specific. We're pushing up on time. We have a couple more questions, so let's see if we can get to them.
Okay. are individuals eligible to participate in an apprenticeship program who have not yet received a high school diploma or GED? This question stems from our efforts to expand our career pathways programs and dual enrollment programs with high schools. Laura?
Yes, they can. You can be 16 years old and be an apprentice. You can be in high school. We do have a lot of dual enrollment. I mean, there are many ways that you can, try to do this. You could start the apprenticeship when they're 16. Of course, you've got to really adhere to child labor laws and how many days a week they work and hours and so on, what kind of work they're doing, what kind of machinery they're handling. You have to be very, very careful and make sure that you're abiding by all the federal and state laws regarding children. But yes, it's totally doable, and we have had apprentices who will start their apprenticeship in high school, and they can complete it generally when they complete their associate's degree.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, I think, of course, I've said this twice now, and I appreciate everybody's active participation. That's great. We love the questions and to make this as interactive as possible. But I do think that is our last question, and I'm just going to hand the mic over to Kathy for some closing thoughts, and looking forward to following up.
Just want to thank everyone for participating, and I really want to thank Laura. It was really important to try to get you this information while she was still at liberty to share it. And we hope, even though there are some unknowns here, that at least gave us all some background. We do encourage you to sign up for the webinar tomorrow. If by any chance there isn't enough room, it will be recorded, and we also will be taking notes and be referring them back to you. So the real question here, the invitation that went out initially and the information that's going out from ARC will continue to go to you as long as you're able to jump on that like you did for the webinar today. We'll be able to keep you up to date. And we just wanted to talk to you as early as possible and get you lined up for that. So thank you again to the Appalachian Regional Commission. Thank you to Laura. And thank you particularly to all of your colleges for what you are doing in your communities. It could not be more important. And I say that on behalf of AACC and my boss, Dr. Walter Bumpus. We care a lot about what you're doing. And again, we could not be more thrilled that we're going to be able to increase your capacity and also the visibility in your leadership. So thanks very much, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Thank you, Kathy.